Now, over 50 people are still unaccounted for after the devastating flooding in KwaZulu-Natal. The families are just refusing to give up the search for their loved ones' bodies. Teams are using everything they can, including taking out boats to scour local dams. eNCA's Dasen Thathiah has been with the team on the Inanda Dam today. Dasen, tell us about this family's search for 3 little ones, I understand.
Well, Sal, I can tell you, it's not a happy picture. It's such a horribly sad story. You'd remember we covered the story at the weekend, just after the floods. That was at the time when the Gumbi family had spoken to us about what had happened at their home. So their property is not far from here. We're at the Inanda Dam, and there were 2 structures on that property. In one of those structures, that's where the 3 children were, 3 girls, as well as 2 adults that were there. And during the time when the floods hit, there was a pipe that had broken off from just above them, along with some rocks, and it landed on one of those structures. It completely broke down that house, and everyone that was inside was washed away down a stream which is just along the side of that property. They'd gone for about 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometers from that property, and that's where the grandmother that was there was eventually able to grab onto a tree. But the saddest thing is that 8-year-old Lubanzi was washed away. She was the youngest of the 3 girls, the other 2 being 13. And there's been no sign of those 3 girls since then. So since then, police officials have been here, search and rescue teams have been on the ground on Sunday, but the family has also tried to conduct its own searches. They were in contact with Umgeni Water, and through a negotiation and through a discussion, they were able to then make use of the Mzinzi patrol boat. That's what we're on today. And I'll just take you a little bit closer to the skipper, Mr. Derek Mtembu. He's still here, so we just got off the boat a short while ago. Unfortunately, there was no sign of the little girls. Mr. Mtembu, thank you so much for chatting to us. So we've just spent about, I think, maybe an hour and a half or so on the water. Yes. And obviously there was no sign of the little girls. Yes. It's a very difficult time. What were some of the challenges that were experienced out there today that may have prevented us from seeing where they could have gone?
Yeah, the main problem is the water hyacinth that is all over the dam. And it moves almost all directions. Which makes it difficult to spot or to see anything, because if there is a body in the water, normally floats maybe like after 3 days, then when they up above the water, then there is water hyacinth. It moves everywhere, all directions. Now you have to follow the wind to try and find out if it takes him up from across and from end to end, then it can be anywhere.
In fact, it even blocked our path as we're getting in today. Beyond the Gumbi family, I mean, you live and work in this area, and you know this is such a sad time for everyone, for this community. Have there been any other discoveries or any other bodies that have washed into the Inanda Dam where we are?
Yes, and my presence, there was one that we found upstream by the place called Meadows. They called us because they spotted the body on water. They told us, and I went and looked. There was a body which I think was washed from the community, maybe from somewhere else and into the water, but where exactly that body came from, we don't know. But we believe that because it was after the floods, we still believe that it was washed somewhere. We don't know if it was he or she, because normally when they float the face down. With the face down, you cannot see if it's a woman or a man. And but we still think there is people in the water. But with these children, and where the cliff or the stream meets the dam, there is too much sand there. Sand is like high as more than 5 meters.
Yeah,
they can be under the sand. Sure. And there is some debris that's on the side of they can be under those debris.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, sir. I appreciate that. I think, Sal, you would have heard the the difficulties that the family is experiencing. It's also the conditions that they are surrounded with, the sand, the debris, the water hyacinth. All of this is making it extremely difficult for them. I mean, as it stands, it's going into the third week now since the floods, and they still don't have any sign of their loved ones. And one of the mums, Nokuphila Gumbi, she was with us on the boat earlier, and she was saying to us that so many people have come forward to offer assistance, and they appreciate that. But right now, their minds are on their little girls, and they want to make sure that at this point, at the very least, they can get their remains and at least lay them to rest.
Utterly, utterly tragic. An 8-year-old and 13-year-olds. I mean, Dasen, it's just too sad for words. It really, really is. And as you say, it's the last little bit of hope that these families are clinging to, that at least they will have their bodies returned to them so that they can give them a burial and say a proper goodbye to these little girls. Thank you for bringing us such a difficult story. It's important to bear in mind. And why? Because we don't want this sort of thing happening again. If there's anything that can be done to make sure that early warning systems are in place, that perhaps houses are built in different areas, that people are catered for properly in different areas, it has to be done before these floods come again.